Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. He was the #1 U.S. stock market timer in the January 2020 edition of Timer Digest. He's speaking to us from Arizona. Welcome back to the show, Mark.
Glad to be here. Thanks
Mark,
for having me.
Do you still have that special offer for our listeners?
We sure do. It's at VRTrader.com. That's V as in Victor, R as in Robert, VRTrader.com. And when you pick one of our newsletters, whether it's monthly, quarterly, annually, in the sign-up form, there is a little section for a promo code. And if you enter the promo code 2020 half off, 2020 half off, you're able to take advantage of a 50% discount. So the promo code 2020 half off at VRTrader.com.
Mark, what's going on with gold right now?
Well, I've been a bit bearish on it for several weeks. All the technicals that, turn negative. But we have a seasonal positive, supposedly, into February or March, and that could start at any time. Some years we see lows in December, and then a takeoff in gold. But putting all the pieces together, you have a mixed cyclical picture, which says you should be bottoming or have bottomed already, against the technical picture, which just showed, a lot of selling coming into it. And, it was such a big run-up and so much excitement about gold a few months ago, the fact that it posted a new high, and, the contrarian in me said, hey, could this be a bull trap? Just another one of these traps to get people into new highs, and a lot of proclamations about significantly higher levels coming ahead. We've seen this before. We saw it back in 2011 when gold topped out, and it seemed like it would never stop. And you heard the same predictions about 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 back then, almost 9 years ago. And here we are back up at the levels again, and you're hearing the same predictions and the same reasons why it should be higher, and, on and on and on. And, I became a big skeptic on gold overall. I mean, it's just another commodity, another stock, another trading vehicle for me. I just look at any stock, any particular trade the same. The whole idea of you can say the same thing about Bitcoin. We can get into that discussion too. That it's a refuge, and this is the place you have to be, and nowhere else. Meanwhile, if you owned Tesla, if you owned Apple Computer, if you owned the market, you made lots of money. And I know there is statistics that point to gold over the last 20 years, how it has done better supposedly than stocks. But, look at the volatility in gold, just like we saw volatility in stocks. So my point is, I don't know where there is safety. You know what I'm saying? The financial system, back in 2007, 8, 9, and that's been an 8, 9 period. I mean, people, including myself, are running to the banks, pulling out cash because, if the bank is going to be there tomorrow or the ATM is going to work. And the argument for gold is if everything goes to hell, you've got gold. Well, if everything goes to hell and you got gold, who's going to buy the gold from you? They won't have dollars to buy the gold. You can't eat the gold. I guess if you got gold in small amounts, people might barter with you for food and so forth. So, I know the gold bugs are going to hate me, and, obviously I own a few coins and I have traded it, but I don't know, the thought of just hoarding gold and silver and thinking that's going to save you in some way, is really hard to swallow. And, I'm not really answering your question because, the question is, can it still go up? And the answer, yes, because it trades like anything else. We see other markets take off. We saw things like lithium take off, and now nickel is getting hot. And, copper has been strong because of the infrastructure, and steel is strong because of infrastructure, and concrete is strong because of infrastructure. So a lot of other commodity-related markets, are showing interest for their own particular reasons. And the problem with gold is it really going to 5,000 or 10,000 at some point in the future? I suppose anything is possible. People, thought Bitcoin was going to go to zero, and look how Bitcoin has taken off in the last few weeks. I know many analysts who just thought it was, overpriced even at $2,000, and now what is it, 18,000? So, you got to trade this stuff. I guess that's really what I'm lecturing, the listeners about here. It's like anything else. They crashed the market in March of this past year, and the Dow gets almost 18,000, and now it goes to 30,000. And they took gold from 1,900 down to 1,000, and now it's back up to where it got back over to $2,060 based in U.S. dollars, and now it's pulled back to 1,800. These things trade, and I'm waiting for some positive sign, technical signal here. My gut feeling is you'll probably get a technical buy signal at any moment in gold between now and the end of December, and that'll be a trade, and then we'll see where it goes, and then we'll take it from there. And I suppose if it takes out the 2060 high that we saw, I think it was a August-September time frame, then we get some technical measurements that say it's going to 2,300 or some higher number, then we'll play it on the way up, and that's the best answer I can give you about gold here.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, what kind of shape is the U.S. dollar in?
That's a good question. I was looking at the chart. Let me pull it up here while we're on the screen. It was real oversold. It looked like it was going to take off and rally, and it just shows all this negative volume. It's sort of holding the recent lows. I think it actually took it out a little bit today. Volume patterns are negative. It's oversold, but no sign of strong buying coming into it. And that's sort of interesting because, even though we've had this weakness in the dollar, gold's pulled back here, which was our previous question and answer that we just covered. So, the chart to me, shows it's way down, and anything is down a lot. I hate to be bearish on, but by the same token, I'm not getting any clear, buy signals in it. So I would say neutral here to slightly bullish, only because it's way down, but I haven't actually bought it, and it's on a watch. But I'm sure the gold bugs are happy to see it weak, but so far it hasn't helped them.
Interest rates, are they going to stay ultra low, or will international markets start to have an effect?
Well, I'm bearish. I think rates are going to go up, and that's a combination of just my own intuition and the chart patterns. I mean just way overdone. I know there's been a lot of discussion about zero interest rates in the U.S. and the Western Hemisphere, what we've seen in Europe and so forth. I don't know. I just my gut feeling, looking at the charts and everything, we've seen the low in the rates, and we're going to see some type of upticking. Whether it's going to be the beginning of a bigger move or not, that I can't say. So I'm a bit of a bear on the bond market. I think you're going to see higher rates and lower bond prices.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Value from success, growth in discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, if the disputed election goes to Joe Biden and Janet Yellen becomes the Treasury Secretary, will that make any difference to the markets?
You know, I don't know. Janet Yellen was pretty accommodative to the markets in the previous cycle. I know people who loved having Obama as president because they said their stock portfolios did better, you know, which is, you know, one stupid reason to want to elect a president or like a particular administration. But during his administration, you did see Yellen in there, and she was pretty accommodative, and she's a more rational person. But, you know, there's so many factors here. You know, what's going on with monetary policy, what's going on, you know, that's of course the Fed, versus the fiscal policy and taxation and other issues, and whether there's going to be any you know, confrontation on the political side, whether the Senate's going to hold in the U.S., whether new programs are going to be initiated that are bad for the economy, or a new you know, debt which is bad, you know, and so you got conflicting forces here. And can Yellen overcome stupid fiscal policy? She could be accommodative on a monetary basis, which you know, we've seen, you know, pretty much since the bottom back in 2008, 2009, when Bernanke started the helicopter, you know, the printing of money and throwing money out all over the place, and we thought that was silly back then, and it just continued ever since. So, you know, I'm not saying the Fed is right. I mean, I've been a big proponent the Fed should be abolished, since it's been around since 1913. The U.S. dollar is down somewhat 95% in value, so I don't have much faith in the Federal Reserve at all in terms of their ability, you know, to conduct policy. We saw Greenspan going way back in the 1980s. I used to compare him in my commentary to a New York taxi cab driver, New York City taxi cab driver, where he'd be slamming on the brakes and then slamming on the accelerator, going back and forth. You didn't know which way interest rates were really going, and some of the proclamations on the part of the Fed, you know, raising rates at the worst possible time or lowering them at the worst possible time. Just no consistency there, and I don't think these people really have any sense at all about the Federal Reserve's you know, true course and nature, and you know, it's just a crazy. It's all crazy, honestly. You know, I'm just sitting here rambling here a little bit. I mean, does it really make a heck of a lot of difference if the political world is screwed up and they're raising taxes or imposing things that are restricting people's freedoms and potentially, and then on the other hand, you got a Fed that's accommodative financially or out there supporting the stock market, which has been happening recently, and the ability to buy securities and so forth, or ETFs to try to support the market, the old plunge protection team at work. So many contra forces here at work. And you asked me about Janet Yellen, so that's just one piece of the puzzle. So really, what else is happening out there that she has to deal with? Is she going to change her philosophy about managing the economy, or you know, managing the Fed's actions? I think she actually wrote that more responsible fiscal policy needed to be initiated, which really wasn't, and at the time that she was more accommodative. So we're just going to have to wait and see. One of the big nominations that's up for grabs here, I don't have her name. You probably know who I'm talking about. The Trump's recommendation for a new Federal Reserve Board member who's very pro-gold. she's up for approval. It's got stalled here a little bit, so there was some push in the gold market, thinking she might join the Federal Reserve, and her opinion was related to a more accommodative position in the gold market, thinking that we might even be talking about a currency that's backed by gold or a revaluation of gold and so forth. So it depends who else gets on the Federal Reserve and whether that vote will count in changing policy. That should be actually more interesting, whether a Yellen is there or not.
Pharmaceutical companies, obviously, with news of possible vaccines, became hot, but are they a good investment right now?
They're too high for me. They've had a big run. The Pfizer and the Modernas and all those names. I mean, look at Gilead. I mean, I never liked the stock. They ran it up because of the Regeneron story, and all the research I had read and done said the drug was really, had minimal value, even though I think President Trump used some of it. Stock's way down, and that's supposed to have been the great stock to own. Gilead, is down for weeks and weeks and weeks, not going anywhere unless they're going to come up with something. But as a general rule, the play, I think, is already behind you. I mean, they were really cheap last March and April, and they took off, and they've been zigzagging, but some of the bigger names, have moved higher, and I just think they're extended. So unless you get a shakeout in them and there's a technical reason to buy them on a pullback after enough of a correction, I wouldn't be chasing them, no.
Any other areas of interest?
Yeah, I still like some of the cannabis stocks. I still like the infrastructure stocks. I still like a lot of the solar stocks. And, a name like Tesla, which is trading at about $570 a share, I think is going to $700 to $750 a share. I think that prediction I'm making may be, a pretty decent one, because I'm one of the few people that, and this is documented, when it was trading, I think around $600-700 earlier in the year, I had predicted it could go to $2,000-3,000, which is exactly what it did. It got well over 2,000, 2,500 area. So the same analysis that created that prediction is now telling you it could go higher. So it's expensive stock, and I certainly like to buy it $100 or $200 cheaper, but whether we'll be given that opportunity, we'll see. I guess if we get a market crash here in the next few weeks, or get some serious sell-off, which is still possible, by the way, and then you could buy it cheaper, that there'd be a better time. But, the whole area of, solar-related, energy-efficient, new technology vehicles, has really hit the market. There's a lot of names out there. I don't have to mention all the names, a lot of speculative names out there, some in the trucking industry, that have just captured the street's imagination here in the last, several months. And I guess over time, it's been no great secret. I mean, solar-powered or lithium-powered, or what other alternate energy-powered vehicles seem to be the wave of the future. So that whole industry, the question is which companies are going to survive, which ones are going to get the sales, and a lot of push in that area. So, taking a look at that whole sector, there are definitely tradable names in there. Whether they're going to last or not, time will tell. I mean, look at the name Nikola, Nkla. That truck, they're actually supposed to build a plant here in Arizona, which I don't even think has begun yet. Stock was, I think it was as high as $95. It ran up from 15, 16, came all the way back to 17, is now in the 20s. I mean, some, really volatile moves here in these names. So we got to be a bit careful and selective, but that's just another sector. So I would add that to the list.
And Mark, maybe remind people again about the special offer.
Yeah, sure. It's 2020 half off, 2020 half off at vrtrader.com. That's your 50% off promo code. Thank you.
Mark, thank you so much for chatting with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
My guest has been Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as vrtrader.com. If you have any questions for Mark or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howestreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.